President Trump last night awaiting Iran's response on a proposed peace deal.
Have you heard from Iran?
Giving a letter supposedly tonight, so we'll see how that goes.
Do you think they're slow rolling it? Do you think they're intentionally slow rolling the process?
We'll find out soon enough.
The agreement reportedly requires Iran to scale back its nuclear program and reopen shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. Trump also says the ceasefire is holding after American forces struck 2 Iranian-flagged tankers trying to breach the U.S. blockade. Let's bring in Jack Carr, former Navy SEAL, author of The Fourth Option. Jack, we talked to you on remote, as we call it. You're here in person.
I'm here in person, and I'm out of uniform. Usually I'm in my flannel and hat, but I figured coming into studio, this is a big deal to be in New York, and thank you for having me on, so I churched it up a bit.
I love it. My husband would be kicking himself. You are literally his favorite author.
Oh,
so
nice.
Great to have you. Iran, where are we now? Because, we're in this crucial spot. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but what do you think is the best possible outcome as we stare down potential resumption in the military campaign or some sort of deal?
It's so hard because there's so many second and third order effects, unintended consequences, of course, that follow on with any sort of military action. But the Iranians are really the masters of the stall, masters of the delay, and they're proving that again and again and again, even with all this pressure from the Trump administration. So we're in this phase right now where I think the messaging from the White House needs a little work because we were promised a short war at the outset. And we do get distracted very easily by a multitude of different things. But what is the short war? What does that mean? Is that a month, 2 months, a year, 2 years? Are we comparing it to Iraq and Afghanistan? In which case, a lot of wars would be a lot shorter. But it's really they're masters of that delay tactic, which allows them to rest, to refit, to put more pressure on the Trump administration because of rising oil prices. But really, this isn't about just that regional security, those regional oil prices that affect, of course, the global market. It's about reestablishing this dominance that the United States had after World War II, this deterrent effect that we had across the globe so we could ensure the freedom of trade routes around the globe. That of course, fell to the American taxpayer, the United States Navy, and ushered in decades and decades of prosperity unknown throughout the annals of human history. So really what this is about is reestablishing that, because we lost that when we left Afghanistan in August of 2021. And of course, China is watching very closely. And at this point, we really have no choice but to win.
So that's one thing I want to talk about is China. You say China's watching closely, and there's no doubt they are. Do you think China has eyes on Taiwan?
They certainly have eyes on Taiwan, and I think the translation from the Chinese is that their military has to be ready to retake Taiwan by 2027. I think it's been misinterpreted as they're going to take it by 2027, but I really think that it is they have to be prepared to take it by 2027. So we're getting close, of course, to that date, but it's just the preparation side of it. So how this outcome of this war will certainly affect whether they do that, because from the mid-1800s to the mid-1900s, that was 100 years of humiliation for the Chinese, and the last vestige of that is Taiwan. So it's very important to them, not just because of the semiconductors and all that, but it's a source of national pride and part of that humiliation that they experienced for 100 years.
I was reviewing the way different presidents, vice presidents answered the question of what should Iran do? What is the message to Iran? And when Joe Biden was asked this, he said, don't. And when Kamala was asked this, she said, don't. And when Trump was asked this, he said, I will bomb the bleep out of you. No. I think the latter approach, it may be messier, but is probably the one that gets through to China more than the simple word don't.
I would think so. And then even those the tactical level successes of the United States on the battlefield, because it shows that some of the same equipment that the Chinese have are the same equipment that Iran has, and that we can readily defeat that militarily. So it's really that economic pressure on the country of Iran, and we have to remember that they view things differently. We don't share that same cultural heritage, those same traditions, where they might not care about their people as much as our leadership would care about us. So there's an incredible amount of pressure on that regime, which filters down to the people, unfortunately. But I think that regime, whatever's left of it, is willing to take a lot of heavy hits and sacrifice a lot of that populace in defense of their national sovereignty.
Jack Carr, thank you. The Fourth Option is out soon. I have a birthday gift coming from my husband. I wonder what it could be.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.